Kenneth Okonkwo has said that, look, 2023 is gone, but in 2027, Atiku, Tinubu, Peter Obi should step aside. Would you be supporting Peter Obi in 2027, or you hold the view that they should step aside?
You know what I found strange about that statement, and I remember we had a long conversation with Kenneth Okonkwo. I called him out, like, on what basis was Atiku, Tinubu, and Peter Obi put on the same
pedestal?
Yes, or use the same bench, a paint or brush used on them. It might have made sense to him, and he has a right to his own opinion. It doesn't to me. I don't see in what capacity has that would that happen. And for me, Peter Obi is one person whom I know has the love and care for people. He has empathy. He feels what happens to the citizens, and it's someone that I see who wants to have a legacy. That's something that's important to me. I'm not looking for someone who gets to office who doesn't care, who all he's thinking about is how do I take more money, how do I buy a private, more presidential jets for myself, more yachts, more whatever for myself, rather than how do I ensure my name that in the next 100 years, 200 years, when they're talking about Nigeria, it's me. And this is someone that I know has the courage to take on the issue. Some people think that courage is by, when you just come out and talk and you can say this. No, it's by putting yourself down there and saying those things that people are afraid to talk about. We know about oil theft. It's still going on in Nigeria. And there's one candidate who spoke about it repeatedly. And since after the election, it's almost as if nothing is being said about it. And you see what he said about the oil cabal. This is someone who has the courage to stand and dare and go for it. You said what he has said about the oil cabal that we have and what they're currently doing. You see a situation whereby Atompolo has even accused the Navy of being the one to connive with those who are stealing our oil. And nothing. And right now as we are here, nobody is saying anything about that. Come back to courage. When you talk about courage and say that whether Peter Obi has done this in Anambra, say yes, he did. You saw what he did with the Uba family? What's this other one? There was a whole lot of like exactly what we have in Nigeria. There was a hold in Anambra state where people felt that there are certain people who control the state and nothing could be done about it. And he came on and he stood. He won the election. The election was rigged. He went to the courts, you understand, to ensure that the right thing was done, and he stood for so many years. And one of the things that he always talk about is sometimes when he goes to that, he used to go alone, whereas the other ones are coming with their shoebi, they're dancing, they're drumming, they're going on. He stayed on. You understand? That in itself is courage. One of the things you've not asked, but I'm going to ask you. One of the things that people have said is the fact that after the 2023 election, he could have asked that people be on the street. People, for them, that is courage. That's not necessarily courage. This is someone who said, no, I'm going to follow the legal system and take it to the end. I believe in the Nigerian institution and I believe in the Nigeria and go with it. But there are people who feel that it's always about get people to be on the streets, get them to be out there, put them in harm's way or fire's way or whatever. And Peter Obi has said, no, he is not going to do that. And I'll give you just a bit of an insight into what we're doing our campaign. During that whole campaign, there was a time when I think you saw P Square. Mm-hmm. They supported Peter Obi openly. They didn't deny, they didn't hide it. And they were supposed to perform at a particular... It took a lot. I remember I spent over 8 hours with lots of messages, giving him 1, 2, 3, I think about 9 or whatever reasons why they should be on it. And his fear was that he didn't want them to be... What's the word that is used now? To be victimized. Because he knows how the system works. There are a lot of people who want to support. Nigerians have been coward to the extent you come out and support and then you become a victim. That's the kind of person that he is.
Let me start from the first thing that Aisha Yesufu said, which is the fact that Peter Obi has empathy. I normally judge anybody that had held public office on the basis of the office that he held. Peter Obi has always demonstrated empathy, even when he was the governor. This is the same man that if there was any crisis in Anambra State when he was governor, this man would go there. There was even a time that this man entered the flood with the people. He entered there as a sitting governor. He entered boats and he went there, sympathized with the people. He even gave a government lodge for victims to stay. Even some that were not from his state. They came to Anambra, some of them from Kogi came to Anambra, and this man gave them food, gave them lodging, and he said to them that he would actually help them to go back to their states. So this is a man that has proven in all his public office that he has empathy. He was the one that cleared all the pension arrears, and the story of how that happened, he kept saying the story. So for empathy, this man actually has it. So it's not about that he's campaigning. Look at his life as the governor of Anambra State. He showed empathy seriously as the governor of Anambra State. So he actually has empathy. Now, he also says that Obi wants to leave a legacy. And that is something that this man actually wants. Just as he did in Anambra State, he came, he took up education, he took up health, and then everybody knows once we are talking about education in Nigeria, Peter Obi becomes a model. In fact, you have what is called the Peter Obi model that even the World Bank had to come to study. So in terms of trying to leave a legacy, yes, that is him, and he did it in Anambra State. So in terms of courage, one unfortunate thing in Nigeria is that because we have been governed by people who lack character, and so we now think that courage is when you now become a street fighter. We now equate courage to tout. So courage is now when you fight on the street, you hit people, you steal public money, and then you dare them that they cannot do anything. That is what so many Nigerians think it's courage. But that thing is not courage. It can be described as hooliganism. Somebody is a hooligan, is not courageous. Somebody that is fighting in the streets, using touts to, do all kind of things. That's not courage. That is not courage. So that is very unfortunate where we found ourselves in Nigeria. Obi once said that humility, patience, and tolerance, he said they are not weakness. He said they are actually virtue. And one unfortunate thing again is that so many people look at Obi's voice and Obi's calmness, they think that he is weak. That was the same thing that happened to him when he came to Anambra State. But when he began to do the unthinkable in Anambra State, they began to change their minds. So, and I believe that is also one of the things people see because of the way he talks. I keep telling people that name Okute, he didn't go to say, call me Okute. That name was given to him by force. And that thing is Okute Ndibo. It is not Okute Anambra, meaning it is rock, the rock of the Igbo land. And that thing was given to him as a chieftaincy title. He didn't choose it. And it was for a reason that that name was given to him, because they know he's a strong man. I remember when he was governor, I used to know a big man then, that each time he went to see Obi, and then he would come out, we would be talking, and this man would always be angry. And one phrase that he would always use is, Obi no dey hear word. Obi doesn't hear word. Peter doesn't hear word. So I didn't know what was the issue, but of course now I realize apparently only God knows what he was asking, and he wasn't getting. So that is Obi. For those who think that Obi is not courageous, they don't even know who Peter Obi is. So this man has shown courage in many ways. This man said things that nobody could say, just like what Aisha said. It was this man that told us about that it is the government people that steal oil. This man dared the establishment. See, for the fact that Peter Obi dared everybody upon everything, against all odds, what else do you call courage? How do you describe courage? It is the same thing I was saying, because we have come to think that courage is being bullied, that courage is being tout, or practicing hooliganism is now what we call courage. A man dared the establishment. A man dared two established parties. You say he doesn't have courage. So this, for the fact that this man, dared the establishment, still dares them till today, that means that this man has a lot of courage. And then when you also look at the Anambra case, we all know what happened in Anambra. This man was the first person to finish his second tenure or 8 years in Anambra State. It hadn't happened until Peter Obi came in. And everybody knew what he did. He dared again the establishment in Anambra State. There were powers that be, just like what Aisha explained. And this man was able to pin them down and govern the state effectively. And he paved the way for others that came after him. In all I'm saying is that Peter Obi actually is the type of man that Nigeria needs. Come 2027, may God help all of us to stand behind him, to support him, to ensure that he emerges as our president by the grace of God. Thank you for your time, and God bless you.